These are the new images that the U.S. says proves Iran was behind the attacks on two oil tankers last Thursday in the Gulf of Oman. On it, the U.S. claims an unexploded mine was being removed from one of the tankers to hide evidence. Iran denies any involvement. The U.S. says that its new deployment includes security forces and troops for additional surveillance and intelligence gathering in the region. Observers believe this escalation is aimed at deterring Iran and calming allies worried that transit through key shipping lanes could be in jeopardy. Iran has announced it will soon breach limits on how much enriched uranium it can stockpile under the international nuclear deal it signed in 2015. It also says it will be able to make weapons-grade uranium. Last year, U.S. President Donald Trump pulled the U.S. out of the deal and reimposed economic sanctions on Iran. And even though the Americans withdrew from the deal, they still want Iran to comply with the restrictions.
We have made it very clear since this president came into office and since the secretary came here that we will not tolerate Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon, full stop.
The European Union and the UN have called for caution regarding actions based on the attack on the two oil tankers.
For the very latest, let's bring in DW's Oliver Salat. He's following the story for us in Washington. Good morning, Oliver. We have the United States saying very clearly that it was Tehran that was behind these attacks on two tankers in the Gulf. And it's released some new photos showing what it says is evidence of Iran's involvement. We're going to bring up those images right now. Can you tell us what we're seeing, Oliver, in these photos?
Well, these pictures were shot from a U.S. Navy helicopter. Others were shot from nearby the hull of one of the attacked tankers. And what we can see is essentially and allegedly staff personnel of Iranian naval employees trying to remove the remainders of a mine that did not explode on one of the tankers. You can also see the shape of a speedboat used typically by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, an organization that is considered a terrorist group by the United States. And these pictures and these photos published very much are similar to video footage that the Pentagon has published just last week. The Pentagon sees this as evidence that Iran is behind these attacks. Some members of the international community do share this assessment. There's no common standpoint on this within the European Union, so this continues to be a very contentious issue.
Okay, for the United States, it isn't, of course. It is now sending 1,000 additional troops to the region. What's their mission going to be?
So the acting Defense Secretary, Patrick Shanahan, says this comes in response to a request by the Central Command, which is in charge of the military operations of the United States in the Middle East. So they're now sending 1,000 troops, as you mentioned. Reportedly, the Pentagon is considering sending up to 6,000 troops in the future. So the big question right now here will be whether moderate forces or hardliners will prevail within the U.S. Government and administration. Shanahan has stressed that these troops are only sent for defense purposes, that the United States is not aiming for an armed conflict, which is, by the way, exactly what the U.S. president has been promising over and over again. He said that the United States would pull out of conflict zones, of conflict regions, which does come in contrast to the recent strategy on Iran, a strategy of maximum stress and impact on Iran.
Oliver, thanks so much for that for now. Oliver Salat for us in Washington.